Are you ready to face something that has no name but leaves scars? It's time to discover what lies beyond the light. Only if you are ready to face the deepest horror should you step inside. We're opening doors to a world where every rustle hides a dreadful secret, and every step might be your last. What evil lurks behind these walls? What dark forces awaken in the night's silence? What happens when your deepest fears begin to haunt your consciousness? Leave all hope and comfort behind. Turn on the light if you dare, and be ready to discover what hides in the darkest corners of your fear.
The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the overgrown path leading to the derelict structure that loomed ahead, an abandoned school, forgotten by time and enveloped in a shroud of mystery. The air was thick with an unsettling silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves stirred by a chill breeze. 5 friends, Evelyn, Marcus, Sarah, Kevin, and Jenna, stood at the entrance, their hearts pounding with a mixture of excitement and dread. They had come seeking adventure, lured by the local legends that whispered of an eerie presence within these crumbling walls. As they stepped through the threshold, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Dust motes danced in the fading light, swirling like tiny spirits caught in a timeless waltz. The scent of mildew and decay enveloped them, a pungent reminder of the school's long-abandoned purpose. Cracked plaster hung from the walls, revealing the skeletal framework underneath, and the remnants of forgotten lessons scattered across the floor. Torn pages, broken pencils, and rusted lockers spoke of a life that had once thrived. Evelyn, the unofficial leader of the group, felt a strange pull toward the dimly lit hallway that stretched before them.
"Let's explore,"
she urged, her voice barely a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might awaken whatever shadows lurked within. The others exchanged nervous glances, but their curiosity outweighed their apprehension. They moved deeper into the heart of the school, the floorboards creaking beneath their weight, each sound echoing like a warning. As they ventured further, the children's laughter began to echo faintly, an innocent sound, yet haunting in its context. It floated through the air, a dissonant melody that seemed to beckon them closer. Glimpses of fleeting figures darted between the doorways, their forms obscured by the dimness. For a moment, Sarah caught sight of a small girl with tangled hair and a tattered dress, her small hand reaching toward a friend who was not there, her laughter carrying a hint of sorrow that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. The friends exchanged uneasy looks, the weight of unspoken fears settling upon them. The school, with its peeling paint and shattered windows, was not merely a relic of the past. It was a place where the past lingered, alive in the echoes of those who once filled its halls. As they moved deeper into the building, a sense of foreboding enveloped them, tightening like a noose. The walls seemed to close in, and the laughter grew louder, more insistent, as if urging them to join the spectral games of the ghostly children that haunted this forsaken playground. The group advanced cautiously, their footsteps echoing through the empty corridors. Evelyn led the way, her determination tempered by a growing unease that rippled through her. Behind her, Marcus, the skeptic of the group, scoffed under his breath, dismissing the distant laughter as mere figments of their imaginations.
"Just the wind,"
he muttered, though his voice lacked conviction. Sarah, ever the empath, felt the chill in the air seep into her bones, her intuition warning her that something about this place was fundamentally off. As they turned a corner, Jenna halted abruptly, her eyes wide.
"Did you see that?"
she gasped, pointing toward a dimly lit doorway. A shadow flickered just out of sight, tantalizingly close, yet frustratingly elusive. Kevin, ever the jokester, attempted to lighten the mood.
"Maybe it's just a janitor who never left,"
he quipped, but even he couldn't fully mask the tremor in his voice. The laughter beckoned once more, echoing off the walls like a playful taunt. Evelyn felt her heart race. It was as if the sound was alive, wrapping around them in a spectral embrace. They pressed on, drawn by a mix of fear and curiosity. Each step seemed to pull them deeper into a web woven by unseen hands. They entered what appeared to be an old classroom, the wooden desks still arranged in orderly rows, though covered in a thick layer of dust. Sunlight streamed through the cracked windows, illuminating the motes that danced in the air. But as they settled into the room, the laughter morphed into a chorus of whispers.
Did you hear that?
Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. The others nodded, their eyes darting around, searching for the source of the sound. Evelyn, attempting to maintain her composure, spoke with a forced bravado.
It's probably just the wind again.
She reassured herself, though the unease in her stomach contradicted her words. Marcus leaned against a desk, his skepticism waning as he felt the vibrations of an unseen presence. Kevin and Jenna exchanged worried glances, the playful banter fading into an anxious silence. Suddenly, a small ball rolled across the floor, stopping at Marcus's feet. He jumped back, his heart racing.
Okay, that was definitely not the wind,
he said, a mix of surprise and fear in his voice. The group huddled closer together, their earlier bravado evaporating like mist in the morning sun. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the dim light in the abandoned school grew even more oppressive. The air turned cold, an unnatural chill that seemed to seep into the very marrow of their bones. Suddenly, a desk in the corner creaked loudly, as if nudged by an unseen hand. Kevin jumped back, his bravado shattered.
Did you see that?
He stammered. The whispers intensified, swirling around them, and just as they began to coalesce into coherent words, a sharp draft swept through the room, extinguishing the last remnants of warmth. Jenna shivered, the breath hitching in her throat as she felt a rush of icy air graze her skin, leaving her feeling exposed and vulnerable.
Maybe we should go,
Sarah suggested, her voice quaking slightly, but no one moved. Instead, they were drawn to the windows, where shadowy figures flitted just beyond the glass, a glimpse of small, pale faces peering in, their eyes wide with an unearthly hunger for attention. As they stood frozen, the classroom door slammed shut with a deafening bang, sending a jolt through the group. Panic rose in Evelyn's chest, and she rushed to the door, desperately pushing against it.
Let us out,
she cried, but the door held firm, as if held by invisible chains. As the temperature plummeted, their breaths became visible puffs of vapor, swirling like ghosts themselves. Evelyn gripped the edge of a desk, her knuckles white with fear. They were no longer mere intruders in this haunted space. They were becoming part of the spectral play, entangled in a game with rules they could not comprehend. The abandoned school was alive, and it was hungry. The walls around them seemed to pulse, expanding and contracting like a living entity. The classroom blurred at the edges, the corners dissolving into shadows that writhed and shifted. Suddenly, the desks began to rearrange themselves, sliding across the floor with an eerie grace, as if choreographed by unseen hands.
Did you see that?
Marcus shouted, pointing at the chaotic dance of furniture. But when he turned to face the others, their expressions were distorted, their features melting into grotesque parodies of themselves. Jenna's eyes were wide, but instead of fear, they glinted with unnatural joy, her smile stretching unnaturally across her face.
Join us,
she exclaimed, her voice layered with a childish sing-song quality that sent chills down Marcus's spine. Reality twisted further. The windows, once offering a view of the darkening sky, now reflected a vibrant playground swings swaying without wind, children playing joyfully, their laughter echoing sweetly. But as Marcus stepped closer, the scene morphed, revealing the children's faces twisted in agony, their laughter merging into screams that clawed at his sanity. He staggered back, eyes wide with disbelief.
This can't be real.
Sarah felt her heart racing.
It's just a trick of the mind,
she whispered to herself, though doubt gnawed at her. In that moment, her greatest fear, being trapped, helpless, seemed to manifest before her eyes, amplifying the terror that coursed through her veins. The floor beneath them warped and shifted, resembling a vast ocean of dark water, undulating in rhythm with their racing hearts.
We need to escape.
Evelyn cried, but as she turned to reach for the door, it vanished, replaced by a wall that pulsated with an eerie glow. In a desperate attempt to escape, they plunged deeper into the school, navigating through the ever-changing labyrinth of hallways that twisted and turned, leading them in circles. Each door they opened revealed a different nightmare. Classrooms filled with children silently weeping, their faces streaked with tears. A gymnasium where shadows played basketball, the sounds of the ball echoing ominously. And a library where books flew off the shelves, pages fluttering like trapped birds. The psychological toll of the experience became unbearable. As the friends fought against the onslaught of their own minds, Jenna found herself inexplicably drawn to a flickering light at the end of a corridor. She approached it, her feet moving of their own accord, as if the spirits were guiding her toward something sinister. The laughter faded, replaced by a chilling silence. But when she reached the source, she was met with a mirror reflecting not her own image, but the spectral forms of the ghostly children, their faces twisted in a grotesque mockery of joy. The laughter returned, louder and more chaotic, drowning out her thoughts. As Jenna's mind spiraled, she could feel the ghostly children surrounding her, their playful demeanor fading into something far more terrifying, an insatiable hunger for souls that threatened to consume them all. The realization struck them like a cold wave. These were the souls of the ghostly children who roamed the halls, their eternal games masking a desperate yearning for release. They scavenged through the remnants of the school, uncovering newspaper clippings detailing a tragic fire that had claimed the lives of several students decades ago. A nearby bulletin board, hidden beneath layers of dust, revealed a chilling headline: "Children perish in mysterious blaze." The truth settled heavily in the air. These spirits were not only playful, they were deeply tormented, their spirits bound to the very place of their demise.
Maybe we can help them,
Sarah suggested.
If we can find out what they want, maybe we can set them free.
But the words felt hollow, a fragile hope in the face of overwhelming despair. As they stumbled into the gymnasium, the doors slammed shut behind them, sealing their fate. The flickering lights above cast eerie shadows, revealing the children's faces, now twisted in expressions of agony.
"Join us,"
they chanted, the words echoing through the air like a siren's call.
"Evelyn, what do we do?"
Marcus cried, his voice laced with fear as they huddled together. The walls pulsed around them, their breaths visible in the icy air, swirling like ghosts themselves.
"We have to find a way to break the cycle,"
Evelyn shouted, her voice unwavering even as dread crept into her heart. The air in the abandoned school grew thick with tension as Evelyn and her friends faced the full force of the ghostly children's malevolent influence. The once familiar hallways transformed into a nightmarish maze, the walls shifting and warping, distorting reality itself.
"Stay close,"
Evelyn shouted. As they stumbled deeper into the labyrinth, they were confronted with their worst fears, each room revealing a new horror that threatened to engulf them. In one classroom, Marcus found himself surrounded by spectral figures, children with hollow eyes, their mouths curled into twisted grins. They reached for him, their fingers grazing his skin like icy tendrils. He recoiled, the weight of their despair crashing over him like a tidal wave, drowning him in their sorrow. Meanwhile, Sarah was trapped in a room where the walls closed in, the air growing thick with the scent of smoke and ash. Visions of the tragic fire flickered before her eyes, children screaming as flames licked at their heels. The ghostly apparitions of the victims surrounded her, their faces twisted in agony, their cries merging into an unbearable chorus of despair. Jenna found herself drawn to a mirror, its surface rippling like water. As she gazed into it, the reflection morphed, showing her the faces of the children she had come to know, their innocent laughter now replaced with hollow eyes and twisted expressions.
You belong with us,
they whispered, their voices echoing in her mind. She felt herself teetering on the edge of madness, desperately fighting against the pull of the darkness. Kevin, in a desperate bid for escape, raced down the hall, but the walls shifted, forcing him into a room filled with broken toys and forgotten memories. The laughter of the children surrounded him, wrapping around him like a suffocating shroud. The toys sprang to life, their eyes glinting with malice as they taunted him.
You can't escape,
They jeered, their voices a twisted mockery. As the friends regrouped, they realized that escaping this nightmare required more than just physical strength. It demanded confronting the very essence of the school's dark past.
We need to acknowledge their pain.
Evelyn cried.
We have to help them find peace, fueled by desperation.
They pushed through the haunting visions, their hearts pounding as they stumbled into the old gymnasium. The air crackled with energy, and the ghostly children surrounded them. But this time, Evelyn stood tall, her determination igniting a spark of hope.
We know what happened to you,
she shouted.
We see you. You are not forgotten.
The ghostly children paused, their expressions shifting from malice to something resembling sorrow. In that moment, the group understood that the spirits were not just seeking companionship. They yearned for acknowledgement of their suffering. As they reached out, the air shimmered, and the shadows began to recede. The children's faces softened, their hollow eyes glistening with tears. The spectral forms wavered, caught between the realms of the living and the dead. The friends formed a circle, holding hands and focusing on the memories of joy that once filled the school recess laughter, the thrill of learning, the innocence of childhood. The darkness that had enveloped the school began to lift, the walls trembling as if in response to their plea. The spirits, now unshackled from their torment, reached out with tentative hands. The air grew warmer, the oppressive weight lifting as the friends embraced the spectral children, offering solace to the souls trapped in eternal suffering. In a final, blinding flash of light, the spectral forms began to dissolve, their laughter echoing as they ascended into the ether, finally free from the chains that bound them to this world. The friends stood in the aftermath, hearts racing, as the school transformed back into a quiet, abandoned relic, silent, but at peace. The friends exchanged glances, each grappling with the emotional weight of what had transpired.
Did we really do it?
Jenna asked. Evelyn nodded.
I think we helped them find peace,
she replied. As they moved toward the exit, the air seemed to shimmer momentarily, a final farewell from the spirits. Just as they reached the door, they understood the bittersweet nature of their journey. With heavy hearts but clear minds, they stepped out of the school, forever changed by the echoes of those who had played in its haunted halls. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a crimson glow across the now silent school, days turned into weeks, and life resumed its normal pace for Evelyn, Marcus, Sarah, Kevin, and Jenna. Yet, every creak of floorboards, every flicker of a light, stirred unease within them. It was as if the very essence of the school had slipped into their minds, planting seeds of doubt and fear. As the seasons changed, the school remained a silent sentinel, its doors creaking in the wind, a promise of adventure that masked the horrors within. The laughter of the ghostly children echoed through the trees, a warning to those who dared to intrude.